Good afternoon. Today, April 24th, 2025, my office filed a criminal complaint against Jennifer Nicole Bachler. The complaint charges her with 2 counts of second-degree manslaughter for her alleged involvement in the death of an infant found inside a bag floating on the Mississippi River within the border of Winona County, Minnesota on September 5th, 2011. If found guilty of these charges, Ms. Beckel faces a presumptive commit to prison of 48 months under Minnesota sentencing guidelines. This morning, Ms. Beckel appeared before District Court Judge Nancy Beitendorp, and Judge Beitendorp set bail at $200,000 unconditional bail and $20,000 conditional bail on the grounds that Ms. Beckel may pose a flight risk. The conditions of her conditional bail were among them that she be on a GPS monitor and not leave the state of Minnesota. The criminal complaint that my office filed is a public document. Please read it if you haven't already. It provides the probable cause evidence in this case that is necessary under professional standards of conduct and the law a prosecutor must follow in bringing a criminal complaint against an individual. As the prosecution office in this case, we are held to those same standards of professional responsibility and upholding the law. And I must remind everyone here that under the law, Ms. Beckel is presumed innocent of these charges. As prosecutor, I also have the obligation to make sure that she is afforded due process and that guilt is decided by the court under the standard of proof beyond a reasonable doubt upon the basis of sufficient evidence. And the prosecution carries that burden. I began my service as county attorney in January of 2011, so I have had the opportunity from the beginning of this case to observe investigators from both the Winona County Sheriff's Office and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension work tenaciously for over 13 years to gather the sufficient evidence for my office to file this criminal complaint this morning. I want to thank all the law enforcement officials, many of whom are here today, both current and retired, who worked on this case since its beginning, and those who joined those efforts throughout the years to seek answers to the suspicious death of the infant named Baby Angel in 2011 by then Winona County Sheriff Dave Brand. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sheriff Ron Ganrud. For more than 13 years, Baby Angel's tragic death has weighed heavily on the hearts of the Winona community. She deserved better than a watery grave. She deserved more than a life cut short. And while her birth mother remained hidden, this community wrapped its arms around this little girl. More than 150 people gathered to mourn our baby angel all those years ago. And ever since, they've waited in patience for answers that she deserved. We never gave up working to find those answers. Our investigators and partners at the BCA conducted many interviews, collected many DNA samples, and pursued every tip and every lead that we got. We decided to try using genetic genealogy to see if they could help us narrow our search for a relative of Baby Angel. Our agency enlisted the help of the Firebird Forensic Group, who eventually told us they had a possible lead, Jennifer Nicole Beckley. We put together a plan and contacted Beckley to request a DNA sample. She declined to provide one. Investigators obtained a court-ordered warrant requiring Beckley to provide the DNA sample. Once she did, and not long after we got that, the BCA confirmed that Beckley is Baby Angel's mother. Since then, we've continued our investigation, attempting to learn everything we could about how Baby Angel died and why she was placed in the river. We don't have all the answers, but we know who is responsible. and today's charges are a first step in holding her accountable. I'd like to thank the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and the Winona County Attorney's Office for their work on this case. I'd like to thank our own investigators, past and present, for their continued pursuit of answers over these many years. And I'd like to thank the community of Winona for not letting this baby girl be forgotten and for supporting our efforts to learn what happened. I'd also like to give a special thanks to retired Sheriff Dave Brand for never letting the memory of baby Angel fade or be forgotten. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As the previous speakers have mentioned, this is the day we've all worked for over 13 years to help bring answers for this community and justice for baby Angel. While today's arrest and charges cannot bring her back, we at the BCA do hope that this development can help this community heal. BCA special agents, analysts, and forensic scientists have been working alongside the sheriff's investigators since the day baby Angel was found. To learn what happened to her, we first needed to know who she was and where she came from. As stated, we pursued every tip and every lead, but unfortunately came up empty. And as with many cases like this, we then turned to forensic science and DNA testing. At the BCA, we were able to obtain a full DNA profile from baby Angel at the time, and over the past 13 plus years, many different DNA comparisons have been made, and it was repeatedly checked against state and federal databases that were available to us at the time, but unfortunately no match was ever obtained. As Sheriff Ganrud mentioned, forensic investigative genetic genealogy provided the lead that ultimately led to today's events. Forensic investigative genetic genealogy, or commonly referred to as FIG, is a technique that combines genetic testing with traditional genealogical research to generate investigative leads, and is most commonly used in unsolved violent crimes and cases involving the missing and unidentified. Investigators are able to use these leads to narrow the list of potential relatives through interviews and further DNA testing and other investigative approaches, which in this instance meant narrowing the focus to a parent of a child. This is yet another example where advancements in investigative technique and in forensic testing allow previously unsolvable cases a chance for answers. In this case, FIG helped to develop the break that allowed investigators to identify baby Angel and provide answers to the community. That is why it is so important to never give up on any unsolved case, because every child, such as in this case, deserves to be known and remembered, no matter how long it takes. Thank you.
That will conclude our remarks. We will open the floor for questions. Please state your name and outlet when asking your question.
I'm Olivia Fonzensky with KCBC out of Rochester. Is there anything you can confirm about the defendant in this case, Jennifer Beasley? What can you tell her, like her background?
She lives in Winona, Minnesota. She's lived here for many years, if not since the September 2011. She's married. She has two children, and she has a job. That's pretty much the extent at this time that I can let you know that. So.
Adam Dexter with NBC Television. Can we get a clarifier on how we say her last name? I've heard a couple people pronounce it a couple different ways.
This morning, one of my investigators advised me that, according to her attorney, she pronounces it Beckley. Beckley.
Chandler Jackson with KAL in Rochester. This is for Attorney Sullivan. Can you explain or kind of elaborate on what constitutes Ms. Beckley as a flight risk according to the condition?
This morning at her arraignment, I argued, well, first of all, I didn't feel that she was a public safety risk. The court has to look at two factors, public safety and flight risk, when determining if bail is necessary. I argued that she was a flight risk because she is now facing charges that would, if convicted, result in her a presumptive commit to prison of 48 months. And this would be the first time that she's facing that reality of this. And so that was what I raised as the reason for the flight risk. And the judge agreed that there was really no public safety risk in this case, given how long this is from the time of the incident. But the judge did obviously agree with the state in terms of the flight risk, although I had asked for $50,000 in conditional bail, and the judge set it at $20,000. But she recognized that, yes, there is a possibility of a flight risk here. I'm not sure who, oh, okay. You have your hand up.
For WKIMD out of Rochester, do you know when she might, I guess, be told before a jury or before a judge?
The next hearing was set for July 7th, I believe. You can double-check that in the court record. Through her attorney, she waived several of the preliminary hearings, what's called a Rule 5 or Rule 8, and she asked for what's called a default omnibus hearing. And so that's been scheduled for July 7th, I believe, which is a Monday. And her attorney had asked for that, it's on the record in her arraignment, because he wanted sufficient time to be reviewing what is a considerable amount of discovery in this case. So, and it goes back a long time, so, yes. Yeah.
This question is for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about the statute of limitations. Was there a concern that so much time had passed in the case that your office wasn't able to prosecute?
We considered that, and I have very able assistant county attorneys who are here. I'm not sure where they went to. We looked at that very issue because there were some other charges that we were considering, but there was a statute of limitations on those. They were not as serious as the second-degree manslaughter charges, and so we didn't have the concern about the statute of limitations on the charges that we did issue. Yes, sir.
Brett with Channel 5. How long has Jennifer been on your radar? Is 2011 was when this happened, and then here we are 2025. Was there a certain year where that DNA came back, where it became clear that she was a prime suspect?
I'll let Sheriff Ganrud answer that when it became on the radar of the investigators. I think all of us who've been here since 2011, it's been on our radar since then. Go ahead.
Mrs. Beckley came into known to us in 2023.
Through the DNA?
Yes.
Once more, WCCO, can anyone in law enforcement that's had any sort of kind of communication with Ms. Beckley over this period of time, whether it's today or the last few months? I'm curious, what is it like when you're there in the room with her? It's someone that you've worked to identify for more than a decade now, and the feeling of she's right there, you know who it is, presumably. What is that like to feel after all that time working on this case?
I don't have an answer for you because I've never met her. Our investigators were working the case diligently, and yeah, I don't have an answer for you.
You spoke, though, just how much this moment meant to this town in 2011. What do you think this moment means to this town?
To this town, I think it means a lot to this town. Sheriff Brand kept like I've already said, the memory going. We had a service for her. We've had secondary services. After 5 years, we had another service. We make sure, I should say, Sheriff Brand, former Sheriff Brand, would make sure flowers were out there all the time, and he was always checking in with us to see where we were at. And I know a lot of people know Dave Brand and know his passion and his concern. And he kept it going, and the community has kept it going through the news and the outlets, so I'm very grateful all around for that.
Maybe one more question.
Grace Munn from WKBT in La Crosse. When you did the forensic testing, was she the only parent that came up, and are you certain she was the only one involved?
At this time, she is the only parent that came up. So, but obviously there's a father somewhere. But at this time, the forensic only identified her, so thank you.